Sometimes people talk about best kept secrets, and oftentimes they are not secrets just for one reason or another. There's not enough familiarity with the institution or individual or personality or occurrence. And it makes me so happy to be able to bring additionally, particularly when it's from a positive perspective. So I'm not going to call this a best kept secret, but I am going to say that this entity, this institution, this organization deserves additional exposure for all of the good things that are going on at this institution. And that institution is Wesleyan College, that has been around for a long time, and it's got some storied history. And I'm going to I was trying to think of, I even went to the thesaurus to try to find a word to describe the president in the in the person of Meaghan Blight. And even the thesaurus couldn't even find the words. I'm going to just use something that I always use. I'm going to say outstanding. So it is my absolute pleasure to have this fireside chat with none other than Meaghan Blight, who's the president of Wesleyan College. And we're going to just bring out many of the outstanding positive things that are going on at Wesleyan. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Habersham. And as I mentioned to you, we're interviewing Ms. Meaghan Blight, who's the illustrious president of Wesleyan College. How you doing?
Alex, I'm great. And thanks so much for having me on the show. I can't believe I've been in Macon for 2 years, and this is the first time I'm being on call to action. So I'm so glad we got this sorted out.
Well, I stand corrected on that, okay? It won't happen. It won't be 2 more years before you're back.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Let's start off by saying a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about
Sure. Yeah, so I'm not American. I think that's the first thing is that I'm a Canadian citizen. I was working in Canada as vice president of growth and chief of staff of a university in London, Ontario, Canada, when I got the call to, consider the job at Wesleyan. And when I said, "Oh, great, Connecticut," they said, "No, the other Wesleyan in Macon, Georgia." And I had to look it up on the map. And I interviewed for the job, and after several Zoom interviews and then coming to campus for when I became part of the top three, I fell in love. I fell in love with Macon. I fell in love with the campus, the community members, our faculty, staff, our students, of course. And I got back to the hotel that night after the big long interview on campus interview process. And I called my husband and I said, if they are crazy enough to take a chance on this young Canadian who's not an academic, we got to be crazy enough to say yes. And so we did. We said yes to Macon, and we said yes to Wesleyan, and we moved our two young sons and my husband and two dogs. Now we have five. We've brought three American dogs along. So we've got two Canadian dogs, three American dogs now, all living together, to the president's house at Wesleyan College. And it's been an incredible journey. And as I said, I'm kind of a non-traditional president. Of course, I'm a little bit younger, but I'm also not an academic. I'm a business person. My background is in growth, in growing fundraising dollars, and growing profile and brand, but also student populations and retention numbers. So, that was this conversation that I had with the faculty when I was interviewing, saying, like, let me just acknowledge the elephant in the room. I don't have a PhD, but I think we have enough people with PhDs here. So I'm going to stay in my lane, which is, and do what I'm here to do, which is to grow the place. And you stay in yours and be great teachers and great educators, and I'll go out and get you the resources you need to support your efforts. And that was 2 years ago, and we've got a great relationship and some really great initiatives that are happening here at the college.
That is so outstanding. And there's a lesson in that. There's a lesson in that. And that lesson is identify and stay in your lane.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And I
Play to
think
your strengths. Don't need to be all things to all people.
Yeah.
Play to your strengths, and then hire a bunch of people who are really good at the stuff you're not good at.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this very quickly. because I have experienced some examples of individuals who are smart people. They know what their particular field is, but because they are smart and because they are proficient in their particular field, then they think they are know-it-alls.
Yeah.
And being in marketing and promotion, I've experienced that a lot.
Sure.
I mean, because a person is a technician, because a person is a doctor, or because a person is a contractor, I mean, very good, or an educator, then sometimes we assume that because we're proficient in a given area,
Yep.
that we know and that's not true.
Yep.
And so I have a problem, not really a problem, but I try to address that with businesses and professionals as it relates to marketing and promotions.
Mm-hmm.
You might you might could drive a nail real good, or you might can read a diagram, but that doesn't mean that you know how to do marketing and promotion. So I think that there's a real significant and important lesson in I think we're gonna do a series called Staying in Your Lane with Meaghan.
Listen, I think that's really important, and I think that if we all did a little bit more of that, and then all really respected each other's areas of expertise, and seek to understand before you seek to be understood, I think that a lot of good work would get done, and probably a lot faster.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement. So let's talk a little bit about Wesleyan historically.
Mm.
It has been around a long time and has gone through changes and what have you. So let's just start with some background on Wesleyan.
Sure. 1836, oldest in the world, chartered to grant degrees to women. And that is uniquely Macon's and uniquely Georgia's, which is pretty incredible. So the first college in the world chartered to grant degrees to women. So we were on the cutting edge of women's education all the way back then. We are, of course, our original campus was downtown. It was a conservatory. And now it sits, there's a historic marker that sits right outside of the old post office on College Avenue. And that College Street, excuse me. And that's where our original campus was. There was a fire, and then we moved to this site in the 60s. So, which terrible about the fire, but if anybody who's been to the current site of Wesleyan, over 200 acres, 100 of which are wooded, beautiful walking trails, stream and wooded log cabin, and then 100 acres of these beautiful red brick, white column, marble, Georgia style architecture and buildings, it's a special place.
It is absolutely outstanding. So it was chartered, the first to be chartered to address specifically education for women. And the thing that I think that you and I both are proud of is that the college has transformed with the times.
Yes.
I mean, I remember the time when there were not any minorities, when it was a segregated institution, frankly.
Yep.
That's no longer the case. So I want you to talk just a
Oh.
little about that.
No, and thank you for acknowledging that we're majority minority. So we're 68% women of color, and first generation Pell students. I'm also a first generation college gal myself. And so, no, this is not the Wesleyan of the past where you may have thought white, affluent young women, and that's all. Absolutely not. That's kind of flipped on its head, to be honest. 86% of our population is from Middle Georgia, many of which from South Georgia. And as I said, majority minority, Title III school. And so we have people from all walks of life here. And that's really our mission here at Wesleyan is no matter where your background is, if you're coming from Tifton or you're coming from Bangalore, India, and it doesn't matter if your parents you come from a one-parent home, a two-parent home, a no-parent home, parents who can give you paid internships, unpaid internships. What we're going to do is make sure that in those 4 years that you're here, we even the playing field, no matter your socioeconomic background. So you're going to come out with a great education, of course, but paid internships, mentorship, a personal board of directors that has helped support you and guide you so that you're not starting at entry level. You're going to be catapulted in to middle management or above because of the experiences you've had in 4 years, practicing in a safe space, how to be a leader and having all of these outside of the classroom experiences that allow you to practice some of those. I don't want to say soft skills. I like to call them essential skills that employers are really looking for that'll set you apart.
Well, I think that's very, very important. And so what I want you to do I'm from Central Georgia. I was born and reared in the public housing of Macon, Georgia. And then you and I both discussed how we want more of these young girls, young females from Central Georgia to become familiar with and understand, attracted to, and interested in, Wesleyan. So I'm going to give you, since I'm so kind, uh, just kidding, a couple of minutes to kind of, because I think that appeal needs to be made. I think really, you
Yeah.
know, since it's 6 to 8% African Americans, or however you label it. But you and I both discussed, it's a phenomenal resource for our local young ladies.
Yeah.
And so part of our purpose today is to kind of educate the community that, hey, one does not have to go outside of Macon now to receive all of these resources that you just mentioned. So just go ahead and make an appeal.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And I think that that's been a real challenge of ours, noticeably absent from consideration from young people. And that's our fault. We hadn't been in high schools recruiting enough. We hadn't been building relationships with our public high schools and our other schools that are here. And so we're really trying to work on that so that we are a consideration for young women who are graduating out of high school and that they're thinking about Wesleyan as an option. I think there's a couple misconceptions that go along with women's colleges, right? And I think that it's like it's a nunnery. We're going to lock you up, and you can never see men. You can never see boys, or that's only the LGBTQ plus population that's here. Neither of those things are correct. Number one, we do a lot of things with Mercer and Middle Georgia. Your time is your own. You're an adult. So yes, there are only women who are in the classroom, or those who identify as women in the classroom. But after that, you have full reign. You're an adult. You come and go as you please. You can have visitors. We tailgate Mercer football games. We are doing this downtown party, the MAC, with Mercer and Middle Georgia, bringing all college kids together. And we constantly do those types of opportunities to mix and mingle. So there's that. The other thing is this, well, women's colleges are only for people who identify as the LGBTQ plus community. Once again, not all the case. Of course, we have people who identify in that bracket, just like any college campus. But really what this is for young women who might be a little shy. Maybe they are, I would think about who our student is. They're willing leaders. They're academically strong. They're willing leaders. But taking the guys out of the classroom and taking those really strong maybe voices out of the classroom, they grow and they build confidence. And you practice this confidence for 4 years. And that's when parents say to me, well, they're not going to live in a world of just women. So, they're not going to graduate out and work with just women. So isn't it better to be in those spaces, to be practicing? No, because if you're sitting in the back of a classroom and you don't feel the confidence to raise your hand, raise your voice, articulate your opinion, create buy-in, and ownership and authorship over these ideas, you're not going to graduate out in a place of confidence. So it's that building that confidence in the classroom that's going to allow you to lead and find opportunities outside of that. So I think, just having those misconceptions about Wesleyan that I wanted to clear up. And I think, the misconception that it's a private institution, it's for really rich people. We actually can be a lot cheaper than state because of our scholarships. Our bursaries, which are financial aid options. You would be very surprised that most of our students are paying, $15,000 for the entire year, room and board, all in. And when you think about the Hope and you think about Pell, you're not paying much out of pocket for a really high quality education where you're in a classroom with, 12 to 15 other students and a professor at the front. We don't use teaching assistants, master students. These are PhD professors at the front of that classroom who, because of the small size, they know you. They can write reference letters for you for grad school or for employment that actually articulate your individual gifts. They can say, I know Alex. I know that he was part of the debate club, or I know Alex because of this. I know Alex versus if you sat in the back of a large lecture hall in some of these bigger schools, you're a passive receptacle for information. You don't build those relationships, and your network is your net worth. Like who who's going to say, I know that person, I vouch for them, I'll give you a reference, I'm going to say their names in room that matter. That's where this relational development happens at places like this. And that's what's going to set you apart, particularly as a woman of color. who really does need people to vouch for them and say, they've done a paid internship for me. I've done a research project with them. I've gone to a conference with them. I've studied abroad with them. Building that network, no matter your background, is what's really going to be critically important.
You've done an outstanding job. And although you're not a student at Wesleyan, you're the president, I'm going to give you an A for that today.
Thank you, sir.
Because you really did an excellent job of explaining that. Okay, so talk about some of the other projects, programs, and activities that are going on, because you mentioned you already presented some ideal situations as it relates to why individuals should consider coming there. But talk about the other supplemental and peripheral programs, activities, and projects that are going on at Wesleyan.
Yeah, I want to draw attention to our downtown leadership lab. I think that's just a real jewel in Macon right now. We opened that September of last year, thanks to the really generous folks at the Peyton Anderson Foundation and the Knight Foundation and the Community Foundation. We worked with them and, to really bring this vision to life, which was space and programming. So we knew, and this is the other thing with Wesleyan, you're this women's college in North Macon, kind of gated looking community. Nobody really knows what's going on. And we weren't intersecting with all of the amazing things that were happening in downtown Macon. So we wanted a space down there to plug into that downtown ecosystem and businesses. And so we opened the leadership labs. We have space now where we do programming, and it could be fireside chats. It could be bringing in amazing artists. We've had dance troupes in there. We've had great lecturers in there, as well as other programming, and we rent it out. But the other piece was that we wanted a space for our CEO Institute to run out of. Now, CEO stands for Creating Equal Opportunities. And this is a cohorted model, best and brightest get into it. 30 students each year move along, and it's a leadership development and training experience that augments your degree. So every single person gets a personal board of directors. They get a peer mentor, an academic mentor, an industry mentor, and an alum mentor, plus access to some of the most prestigious paid internships, study abroad experiences, mentorship. And so it's this whole holistic, we're not leaving anything to chance. If we are talking about accelerating equality for women, we need more women in leadership positions. And so we need them to put their hand up and say, yeah, I want to do that. And I feel prepared to do that. And I have a network around me to help me launch. And so that's been really our focus, is piloting this CEO Institute. And then my next focus is, how do I make sure every single student has this wraparound care so that when these young women graduate, they have all the tools they need to continue to ascend to leadership positions.
And then I have noticed that, with the graduate program, with the master's program, I've seen the marketing from several outstanding and high-standing individuals.
Yes.
And I think both men and women have
Yep.
acquired their master's degree, MBA.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about that.
Thank
for
you.
those individuals who are interested in pursuing. Now you can be a male and go into that program, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're correct. And thank you for bringing that up. So yes, it's both for both men and women. There are programs that are all online, so they're structured to be able to be doing it while you're raising a family and you're busy with your job. And so we have an MBA and we have a Master's of Education as well as nonprofit studies. And we're actually specializing our MBA. So there'll be specializations in marketing, there'll be specializations in AI, specializations in data analytics. And so looking at opportunities where if you want to do an MBA, number one, come to Wesleyan, female, male, small cohorts where you get this personalized approach online that fits your busy schedule. But then if you want to personalize even and specialize a little bit further into up and coming AI, data analytics, big data, those types of things, we have that as well.
I've seen the marketing, and touting, if you please, several of like Amber and several of the other people.
Oh, yeah. We have incredible alums who've passed through the program. And I think, just recently, Dr. Ken Blair has taken over the management of that program and really elevated sharing the stories of these outstanding alums who went through our program and, have seen a lot of career growth and success, hopefully in relation to receiving their master's.
I wish you would just talk a little bit more about the leadership lab, because I think it's important. It's downtown people and organizations are always looking, for somewhere to do projects and,
Yes.
and activities and what have you. So just talk a little bit more about how, the community can become more involved and engaged in the utilization and familiarizing themselves with that lab.
Well, right now is a perfect time because we're doing this project called Meaghan, where we have this huge map of Macon where community members are coming in and constructing little structures of what exists in Macon and what they want to see. And so you can come and contribute to that map and that visioning of what you want Macon to be. But for us, the Leadership Lab is really about bringing together speaker series, programming, and allowing it to be for the entire community. So one of the things that we will be launching, and we hope a lot of community members take advantage of it, we are launching a innovation boot camp. And I think a lot of people who run businesses or are executives in business, you can sometimes get stuck, right? You're working in your business instead of on your business. And as leaders, and Alex, I'm sure you've experienced this, you're into it, you're into the technical, tactical things of working in your business. But we need to also be able to step up and think broadly about where are we going? What does growth look like? What is innovation in our businesses or as employees? What can we be doing to drive growth and see what's the next step? What's the next big thing? And so we brought an innovator in residence in, and he's coming in next week, and we'll be doing these innovation boot camps. And we will be asking community members to come and join us, learn how to ideate and use innovation and problem solving and design thinking to hack problems in your own businesses. So different problems that you might have, it could be personnel issues, HR issues, it could be around social media, it could be around earnings, whatever that might be. You're figuring out how to think and how to empathize and how to tackle this, and then actually put an action plan in on how to solve. So we want to be thought leaders in the community, but we want to make sure it's not just self-serving. It's not just serving our students, our faculty and staff. We want to open up all of these opportunities to give back to the community and provide them opportunities to also grow their own businesses.
Wow. That is nothing short of phenomenal. So let me understand you. So what you're saying that any entrepreneur, who is engaged in any business, be it retail, service, consulting, or what have you, who is smart enough to understand that he or she does not know everything and want to see their entity grow, then they can be a part, irrespective of the area. Then that's wow.
Absolutely.
That's so dynamic. So they can be a part of this innovation boot camp.
Yep.
And then we of course will be discussing how we can market that and get it exposed to the community.
Thank you.
That's phenomenal. Nothing short of it. Okay, any other programs, activities associated with the college that you want to tout or talk about? Is that in addition to attracting more students from Macon, because I know you're doing well, and congratulations on your diversity. I'm very appreciative of that. Two things. Are there any other programs that you would like to discuss? And secondly, are there ways that the community can help, assist, and support what you're doing?
Yeah, and I won't get into a ton about programs because I know we're short on time, because I really want to tackle your second question. We've got programs for everybody, and that's the thing. We've got nursing, we've got education, we've got advertising, marketing, communication, we've got visual arts, studio arts, psychology. There's business, there's something for everybody at our institution. But the community, I think that's the big thing, as I really want every community member to be so proud that the oldest women's institution in the world is in their backyard. And I want them to refer their daughters and their nieces and their granddaughters. I want them to come and see it. Like, just take a tour. This campus is magic. I'll be recruiting at Howard, High or Rutland, and I'll have a group of hundreds of young grade 11 and 12 young women. And I ask them how many people have come, how many of them have come to Wesleyan? And I'm always heartbroken how few hands. Because when you get to campus and you see this can be yours, and you meet the faculty and you meet the staff and you see the facilities and you realize this is magic and this will be transformational experience. So come visit. We invite you, we welcome you, we want you here. Even if it's just asking questions about FAFSA and financial aid and how can we be a support in your educational journey, even if you're not coming to Wesleyan, but we want to be a support for you. So I think those might be the best ways, but come visit us and come see for yourself.
So, what approach should one use to make contact with Wesleyan?
So you can go on our website and it'll be book a tour right there. Apply now, book a tour, and we'll have a tour guide ready for you with some swag, and come to campus. And, you know, if you have a grade 11 and 12 young woman in your family who might benefit from this type of education and this type of support, we'd love to show you around.
And what's that website?
WesleyanCollege.edu.
WesleyanCollege.edu.
Or you can just Google Wesleyan College, Macon, Georgia. Now, make sure you don't end up at Wesleyan University, and that's in Connecticut. That'll be a lot colder. And as a Canadian, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, Wesleyan, Macon, Georgia. Okay. Okay, Wesleyan College, Macon, Georgia. Okay, you got another 30 seconds to say what you want to say.
Well, Alex, all I wanted to say was to you, thank you for being an advocate. I mean, this is the beautiful thing about Macon for me, is that I arrived and I was immediately held by all of Macon and supported. And from the moment I met you and Myrtle, I felt that. And so I just wanted to thank you so much as a community leader for helping and providing this platform for me to come on and, you know, maybe quell a few of the misconceptions about Wesleyan, but also share the growth and the trajectory and where we're going, because it's opportunities like this to connect with all sorts of groups that's going to keep us thriving. So thank you, my friend. I so appreciate this.
You know, my philosophy is a rising tide raises the whole ship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is certainly positioned to raise the tide. So I'm so appreciative of what you're doing, your history, your record. And as you know, I'm here for you. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Havisham, having interviewed Mrs. Meaghan Blight, the illustrious president of Wesleyan College. Be sure to go and book a tour and learn more about, even if it's just for historical purposes or educational purposes. Because that's, you know, we can brag about that. You know, when we're in other places, and well, you know, let me tell you something else about Macon that you may not have known, buddy. Yeah. You know, we've got the first college charter specifically for women in the country, or in the country,
world.
In the world. Yeah. So that's really saying something. This is a call to action. I'm your host, Alex Havisham. Thank you so much, Mrs. Blight. Have a great day.
www.makingBlackPages.com